Wow, look at you. I see big hats. Big hats? Crazy hair? You see some crazy hair over here? Who's got crazy hair? Let me see your hair. Oh, there's some crazy hair. All right, big hat, crazy hair, crazy hat, big hat. I can't remember exactly what we're calling it, but you seem to have gotten the point. And mustache is okay. Who's got some mustaches on out there? Wow, look at all those mustaches. I should have sported one, grown one, or something for this morning. Hey, I have a crazy hat too, look. You know, I want to just get something out of the way real quick. It really has nothing to do with VBS, except today is Big Hat Day. But I saw many Warriors apparel, many people wearing Warriors apparel yesterday. And I didn't want to make anybody feel like I was ignoring you when you looked at me. Somebody back here had a hat and pointed to it yesterday. So let's just get it out of the way. Go Dubs. They have a chance to take the NBA title tonight for the first time in 40 years. So let's just say, go Dubs! Yeah. And we're gonna get on with our VBS day today. You can see the worship team's out here. I'm actually gonna invite the rest of the assembly team out. I have some things I want to tell you, a story I want to tell you from the Bible before we start worshiping. And I want you to listen very carefully to the story that I'm going to tell you because it's a true story. Today, our theme is being grounded in truth, and we're going to see some skits. Of course, they're going to teach us a little bit about what God's truth is. And the one thing that I want to tell you is that we can always count on the things that God says as being true. The Bible that contains all of His promises to us, they are true. So we're going to learn more about that today. But I want to tell you a story from the Bible. It's one of my very favorite. And it's from the book of 2 Chronicles, and it's chapter 20. And it's about a king named Jehoshaphat. Can you say Jehoshaphat? Sometimes I think that's kind of a name that you would give a little bit of like a Jehoshaphat, kind of a sound to it. So say it like that, Jehoshaphat. Jehoshaphat. Well, Jehoshaphat was a king of God's people many, many, many years ago, long before Jesus even came on the scene. And he got word, here's this king, right, of this nation. He got word that not one, not two, but 3 different nations were forming together to come and attack God's people, come attack him. And understandably, he was pretty afraid, right? I think we would be afraid too if we learned that not one, not two, but 3 people were coming to attack us, or 3 nations were coming to attack us. And so he was afraid, and so he cried out to God and said, God, please help me. Please help us. What are we going to do in the face of these armies that are coming against us? And a prophet, a messenger of God, stood up and said, hey, don't worry about it. God says, you're not even going to have to fight this battle. He's going to defeat your enemy. And so Jehoshaphat made a really hard decision. Do I trust God? Do I believe that this is true? Or do I freak out? Or do I take matters into my own hands and try to defeat this enemy? But instead, he decided to trust God. The next day, as these thousands and maybe even hundreds of thousands of people from these different armies were coming to attack Jehoshaphat and his people, he sent the worship team out before anybody else. And they went out, and as they were walking towards these enemies, they began to worship the Lord with their music and with their words, the songs that they were singing. And Jehoshaphat and his people were ready to do battle. But before they even had to lift up a sword, it says in this story in 2 Chronicles 20 that God confounded or confused the enemies. And you know what happened? Some of you have heard this story before. The enemies of God, instead of attacking God's people, they got confused and they started attacking each other. And it says that all of them were destroyed. And God's people didn't even have to fight, and they actually were able to go out and take all the treasure and the different things that these other armies left behind. And so I tell you that story because we worship here at VBS, the beginning of our assemblies. And I want to encourage us and challenge all of us, from the youngest all the way to the oldest here, and everybody in between, to think about what are the things that feel intimidating to you right now in your life. What's hard that's happening in your life? What is it that you're sad about? What is it that you're disappointed about? What is it that you're afraid of? What is it that maybe you've even prayed about and it hasn't changed? And you are feeling like, God, are you really there? Are you really real? I can't fight this fight anymore. I don't have the strength to do it. And I want to encourage you to think about that, and as we come into this time of worship and this afternoon and tomorrow and throughout the week and even after VBS, to be thinking on two different levels. Do I feel like I can fight? And if you don't have like that much in you to give, remember this story, because it says that God's people didn't even end up having to do the fighting. But the people went out, the worship team went out before them, and as they worshiped, it unleashed the power of God to defeat their enemies and to deliver them. And so if you're here today and you're feeling like, I don't have even the energy to fight, can I just encourage you to consider this true story that I just told you, and to believe that even if you just stand, God can do powerful things in you. And if you're saying, yeah, I'm ready to fight, maybe be thinking as you're worshiping this morning that there are people around you maybe who aren't feeling quite so strong, and stand up and be strong for them. And the promise is that we will stand and see the salvation of God. So let's stand to our feet together. And even as you're standing, I want you to think about that. Today, right now, even as I stand, I'm making a statement. God, I believe your promises are true. And I want to see you have bring breakthrough. I want to see you bring healing and salvation into my life. Amen? Yeah. Amen? Yeah. All right, let's worship the Lord together this morning.
So pay attention. Yeah. Let's rock out right now.
Yeah.
You guys are gonna love it. You ready?
hear it again. Let's hear it again for the VBS Assembly team and Austin and his merry band. We'll see them again this afternoon. Woo! All right, I am